We're at dinner at 7, and I've invited some people to meet with us and talk about Minneapolis and the city we live in. I feel that there's a significant amount of crime going on the streets. I feel that the lack of police makes it more easy to commit crime, that there is a significant amount of drug use. I don't think that it's as safe a place as it could be. How do you feel about that?
My name is Nakima Levy-Armstrong. I am a civil rights attorney and activist, former president of the Minneapolis NAACP, and former law professor. So I agree that the streets of downtown could be a lot safer, but I think that what's happening downtown has to do with the lack of economic opportunity that African Americans experience within the city.
It's just all based off how their house setting is. For me at least, my mom, once I was like 14, 15, and I was coming in the house after 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, she was like, you want to be grown? Like, answer wisely, you want to be grown? Yeah, all right, you can live here, but I'm not going to buy you anything else. You want to act grown? You get treated grown. Grown-ups don't get allowances, so you got to make your own money.
So as a result of becoming an activist and being out on the front lines, made the decision to run for mayor of Minneapolis.
A woman at the forefront of the Justice for Jamar movement wants to be the next mayor of Minneapolis. Nakima Levy-Pounds announced her campaign today in North Minneapolis.
Well, I'm here today to declare that it is time for a change. Unfortunately, I did not win my election, but while on the campaign trail, I got a chance to meet Mr. Ken Sherman to talk to him about his concerns regarding downtown crime. So if you walk the streets of downtown, you'll see that the overwhelming majority of businesses are owned by white people. So that in and of itself is evidence of an economic disparity. Many of the places downtown will not hire African Americans and other people of color. One of the things that I was impressed about when it comes to 7 has to do with the fact that you have been willing to hire young African Americans for wonderful positions here. And we know that these young people that you've hired will not get hired anywhere else. And when you don't have access to economic opportunity, what happens? You may wind up doing things on the streets that you otherwise would not do.
That quick $10, and then how many $10 you make in a couple hours, so. And when you feel that, touch that $10, they kind of want to keep going with it. That's where it gets messed up at.
There are certain hotspots that we know there are problems. By the light rail on Hennepin 5th, there are problems all the time.
In a situation like that, whereas you're dumping police resources into here, people migrate over there, you dump more here, they migrate over there. They pump 13 police officers there and then they just walk down the street. Well then, your particular issue with regard to having them within your eyesight was resolved, but the underlying issues that presented themselves.
I don't disagree with that. I agree with that. But what happens is that particular area is the light rail. That's where there are tons of people who want to get on and off the trains and are vulnerable.
6, 7 years ago, they built the train from St. Paul to Minneapolis, and that made a lot of teenagers get on the train and come from St. Paul to downtown Minneapolis. They kind of just bunched together, young guys. South Minneapolis, you got to come through downtown Minneapolis to get to North Minneapolis. You over North Minneapolis, you want to get to downtown St. Paul, you got to come through down here. So this is where you're going to bump shoulders with people at. And what I mean by that is that's where they're going to catch the most action. It's just like if you're selling waters. You're not going to stand by a nice hotel where you can feel the AC through the revolving door. You're going to sell waters by the Twins game where it's scorching hot.
Well, and the other question has to do with, if you look downtown, what is available for young people of color who have very little money.
I'm only 20. I remember being 17, 16, and looking up like, man, I'm tired of going to the Mall of America. Like, I don't even have no money. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not, yeah, we got the Mall of America. It's a big old mall. It's not, can't do nothing if you ain't got no money to get in there.
We were able to be real in the conversation and speak the truth about what's happening, to challenge each other and also to hear each other's perspectives.
And I don't understand why leaders like you in the black community can't maybe find a way to persuade other businesses to give them a shot. Or am I being a Pollyanna?
You hang with the leaders who run downtown.
No, I really don't.
Do you see them, but I'm sure you've been to meetings with them or you know some of them. Do you see them being willing to listen to the voices of black people who are saying that they need to take a different approach? Unless it's someone like you, who has someone like Taylor, who can see the potential in someone. Most people are not given the benefit of the doubt and they don't have access to those kinds of opportunities.
There was one time, we had 5 services here, and I was like, listen, we gotta like slow down. You gotta, for real, you can't hire every kid that walked by there smoking a blunt or that's in trouble. We can't hire them all. We just can't do that and run a successful restaurant.
The point I'm making is I believe there should be enough police resources where there are people to keep them safe. I think keeping people safe is important.
We can't continue to try to police our way out of the problem and expect for things to change. That has never been a remedy.
We have police who are following us in vehicles. All right, and we told them that was fine, but we did not expect to see officers on bikes. Because you guys see, this is a very peaceful march. So I'm just curious if somebody can come up and talk to us about why you all are over here in the cut. Like, were you expecting something to happen?
Right.
I got pulled over so many times. I got pulled over once for honking the horn at my wife when she was stopped at a stop sign. I was behind her. All of a sudden, whoop, whoop, look around. It was like, hey, did I not stop at the stop sign? But I know I stopped.
Right.
He was like, well, you know, it's a lot of activity that be happening around here. I just wanted to make sure everything's all right. He's all right, guys. So then he loads in the car and they peel off. And I had to sit there for a minute. What the F did I just get pulled over for?
Right.
Like, seriously, why did I just get pulled? What just happened? Like, seriously. Because I know that if I would have like reached too fast or done this too fast,
right,
like that literally
and it would have been justified.
For what though?
They're telling me at any time they could pull me over and don't even got their story straight. And don't even got their story straight. Just murk you because they want to.
This shit been fucked up for years. Since I was a kid, I've been hearing these same complaints. You know what I'm saying? It's real shit. I grew up hearing these same complaints. But now that I'm older, I can understand what was being said.
They has me gonna come from under it. I don't even see a way because there's nobody working toward that, and the younger generation don't even care to listen. There's nobody talking and nobody listening. That's wild.
I just feel like, this is just how I feel, okay? That a lot of these kids on the street, they look at me as the enemy. I'm the enemy. Guys like me are the enemy. Then obviously a lot of white people feel the same way back.
You can't blame this all on them. These little young niggas ain't rap too tight. It make you not want to stay around this mother. That's real shit. You got babies, you do not want to be raising your babies around with straight bullets flying around this. I'm being honest. It ain't just the people in the ricks and shit. It's the violence and the crime rate.
In an America that's getting browner and browner, it seems like black people and white people are becoming more and more separated in certain ways.
Black is beautiful! Black is beautiful!
I don't know if we're any more separated than we have always been historically. I think that it's maybe more obvious to people who are paying attention, but it's always been this way. Think about what the things that Dr. King said. And the fact that he was murdered for speaking about the need to address these issues. We've continued to live on the margins, and people take a handful of black success stories and they use that as an example of how well we're doing, but it's not the truth.
Racism everywhere.
It's everywhere, but it's here too. You gotta remember, we're up north.
It's not as bad as down south, but at the same time, end up in one of them suburb cities and see how they treat you. I swear to God, I've been places for them. I done got out something new, brand new. It ain't like I'm jumping on a bucket or something, about something brand new, and they hit their locks when they see me.
It just doesn't seem to me like anybody is winning in the scenario I see every day.
Right.
It just doesn't seem like anybody's winning.
A lot of them are entrepreneurs, right? But they never are given the opportunity to be entrepreneurs in an above ground market.
You also need someone to kind of like specifically
with life skills, right? If you've been on the margins, there are just things you're just not going to know about mainstream expectations. And so for low income Black people in particular, it's safer to stay in your own neighborhood, clustered on the corner with your own people, than have to interface with people and navigate their world that is a lot of times very foreign to you and your own experience, right? And some of those young people might be scared. Some of them might be putting on a front to fit in, but deep down, they may be scared.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. Yakima, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed your dinner. Eli,
we can't wait for politicians to do it. It's not gonna happen. We have to be the change that we've been waiting for. So I'm excited about the possibility of what could come out of tonight's provocative conversation.
Meetings like this are really important, but you have to have the certain types of participants and to get them together in one room and have a conversation based upon mutual respect, based upon everyone trying to learn everyone else's position and be empathetic and open-minded to it. I think that's rare. I think that's what this country is lacking.